ones and we lock down in the media. It's all about high-level music for the Y2K vibe. Shout out to the UK talent. Just keep pushing on and moving forward. Cause UK talent is nearly at the beat here. Don't give up now, it's not long. It's just a matter of time.
Hello, everybody. My controller was giving me a bit of trouble just a second ago, so hopefully everything is fine. But hi. We're gonna be continuing Case 4 today. It's gonna be a great time, hopefully. Also, voice mod was giving me a little bit of weirdness a second ago, too, so hopefully that's all good, too. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. If everything catastrophically falls apart around me, then that would be just fine. Yeah, I don't really think I have any, like, super important stuff to get to before we dive in particular, except for, like, you know, obviously if you haven't seen my newest video, my Danganronpa tier list, you should watch that. It's pretty fun. I had a fun time making it. Other than that, though, yeah. Wins Media, do you think you'll stream the 100-line demo? I've seen other YouTubers stream it, but you don't have to. Probably not. I've got a lot of other stuff that I want to get to. In fact, I have a special something planned for next Tuesday's off-stream, in fact, with one of my pals who is going to be accompanying me for it. It's definitely something very different for my channel. It's gonna be quite outside the norm, but that's kind of why I want to do it. I think it'll be fun to sort of get outside my comfort zone. But as for now, back to the old familiar gay lawyers. No, Pajama Sam 4, you could not pay me to play that. Dear, oh dear. December 20th, 10:15 a.m., District Court, Courtroom number 5. Let's go. What? Where's the judge? Where is he? Hold on. Where's our man?
I suppose we should reconvene the trial of Solomon Starbuck or something.
Objection!
Your Honor, could you please come out from under your bench? There are no more bombs, I promise.
He's still worried about the bomb. I mean, honestly, I get it, but...
Oh, yes, my apologies.
Atropos with the $2. Sorry, I ate the judge. Don't spit him back out this instant.
I'm still a little jumpy when it comes to trials involving bombs. I mean, first the courtroom exploded, and then Mr. Tonate self-destructed.
I guess that's one way of describing what happened to Tonate.
Anyway, it seems that Mr. Justice was seriously wounded by Mr. Tonate's actions. So you, Mr. Wright, will be taking up the defense? Do you have an understanding the defense?
I don't know why I said defense. Like, you know, you're in a football game. Boggle with the $5. Once again, gonna be catching the VOD on this. Any thoughts on this game's soundtrack? It's one of the stronger aspects of the game to me. It's a little bit hit and miss for me, I guess. There are certainly some tracks that I think are really good, but others that just kind of like fade into the background a little bit. It's definitely not as like memorable of a soundtrack to me as some of the previous ones, but I definitely wouldn't call it like bad at all.
Do you have an understanding of what has happened in the trial so far? Yes, Your Honor. The defense is ready. Very well. Is the prosecution also ready? I take it you'd like me to give you the opening statement this time?
Looks like the judge has become a pretty good mind reader.
Well, he's certainly seen more than his fair share of colorful prosecutors. You could say he's something of a veteran of sorts.
Whoa, IVP with the $50. Holy shit, thank you so much. Finally catching one of the AADD streams live. So excited for the rest of this trial. Thanks for providing such high quality content always. Thank you. I really appreciate it. I hope you have a good time.
Let's see. In the previous part of this trial, we learned that the victim, Clay Terran, escaped from Launchpad 1 carrying the defendant, Solomon Starbuck. There were explosions on the second floor of the Space Center, and on the rocket itself. The two astronauts used the Launchpad 1 corridor to reach the boarding lounge. And how could the victim climb down the ladder if he was carrying the defendant? That was the mystery that needed to be solved. But Mr. Justice proved that the victim was killed in the boarding lounge. Prosecutor Blackwell, were you able to discover any new facts related to this point? Upon further inspection, we discovered an oxygen tank fragment in the lounge. Surprisingly, it would appear that Justice Stoner's argument was correct.
So that means the testimonies of the first two people on the scene are suspect.
There were two people who claimed to be the first on the scene. But can we truly trust their statements?
Let's see. The two people were Detective Candace Arm and Yuri Cosmos, right? You think that one of them might have given a false statement to the police?
Yes, it's certainly a possibility. It's certainly possible. We might have to do a little more digging. And just as our team was able to just as our team was about to cross-examine Detective Arm, the courtroom bombing incident occurred, and the trial was put on hold. That accursed fellow. He killed my witness. He killed Detective Arm.
He definitely put the kibosh on anyone asking her about what she saw.
Exactly. In other words, the question of who killed the victim in the boarding lounge. I just should have said kibosh. But anyway. Yeah, that's Blackwell telling. Actually, it's pronounced.
Oh, shut up.
Exactly. In other words, the question of who killed the victim in the boarding lounge has once again become the main focus of this trial. It's obvious Prosecutor Blackwell still thinks it was Mr. Starbuck. Fulbright said that Blackwell has a thing against the astronaut. Nevertheless, the defense argues there was a third person in the lounge, and that's who killed the victim.
Objection!
To make such reckless claims in a courtroom takes a bold man, or a stupid one. There was no third person in the boarding lounge. Or have you gone dotty already? Old man.
Objection!
We'll see who's the dotard after I trounce you with my years of experience, little boy. In any case, Mr. Starbuck claims he saw someone leaving the lounge. Furthermore, a Space Center employee also saw a suspicious figure at the scene. They saw a third person? I see my sister's been running her mouth. That's right. I almost forgot that Aura is Prosecutor Blackwell's sister. No matter. She didn't see this mystery person's face clearly. Therefore, there's no evidence to indicate that this person was not the defendant. I guess the possibility that the figure was Mr. Starbuck is still there. In brief, we need to determine if a third person was there or not. To this end, we should hear the testimony of one of the first people on the scene.
Director Cosmos, huh?
Very well. Bailiff, please bring the witness to the stand.
Yay! Funny old man time, let's go!
Why, I believe I've seen you before in the newspapers.
Of course you have. Of course you have. For I am Yuri Cosmos, director of the Cosmos Space Center, which was of course named after me, Yuri Cosmos! Don't you have anything you wish to ask me?
Looks like he's all geared up to do some bragging.
7 years ago, I successfully launched the Hat 1 and...
Everyone already knows how brilliant you are. Even I'm trying to hold back my tears at seeing such a great man standing before me. So, could you please proceed directly to your important testimony?
I see this fine young lad has a proper appreciation of greatness. then allow me to begin my epical testimony that will be recorded in the annals of history.
That speech of Prosecutor Blackwell's just now. It sounded more to me like he was poking fun at Director Cosmos.
It's probably for the best that it sailed right over the director's head. Now then, Director Cosmos, the condensed version of your illustrious testimony, please.
What I saw at the scene.
Detective Arm and I rushed towards the boarding lounge together. We went via the control room and peeked in there to see what was going on inside. We saw a figure standing in the middle of the lounge, and Terran lying on the floor. I hate to say it, but I can only imagine this standing figure must have been Starbuck.
I see. So in your testimony you claim you arrived on the scene after the two had escaped from the launch pad to the lounge, and just after the victim had been killed.
Oh, the horror! The humanity! But what I said is what I saw, and what I saw is what I said! Courageous action to take in the face of such terrifying explosions, wouldn't you say? To save my men, I went personally into the epicenter of danger, risking my own life for theirs!
Well, what do you know? Sounds like the director really cares about his men.
Yeah, although it sounds more like he was scared and just had a peek from far away. Is the defense ready to cross-examine the witness?
Yes, Your Honor. Director Cosmos' testimony is pretty vague. I'm gonna have to press him and draw out more information before I do anything else. Yeah, that's pretty much what I was figuring I would have to do, because there's not really a lot to grab onto about this testimony so far. Detective Arm and I rushed towards the boarding lounge together.
Hold it!
Where were you coming from?
The 6th floor.
We were making sure any stragglers made their way to the 4th floor. It was then that we heard about Starbuck and Terran and hurried to the 3rd floor lounge.
On my galactic scooter here, of course.
Why do you keep calling it galactic? Does it have something to do with space?
Of course. It's specifically designed to be used on galactic battleships.
I see. Then I take it works in 0G too?
Sadly, no, with the current state of technology as it is.
I'm afraid it would just float about and be galactically useless.
Well, that's a galactic bummer.
I see. So you rushed to the boarding lounge on your space-age pogo stick. And when you got to the scene, what did you see?
Space-age pogo stick. Went via the control room and peeked in from there to see what was going on inside.
Hold it!
Let's see. According to this diagram, you didn't have to go through the control room to get to the boarding lounge 1. It looks like you could have gone there from the southern corridor as well.
Yes.
But in her haste, Detective Arm rushed ahead of me towards the control room. All I could do was merely follow behind her.
I see.
So we peeked into the boarding lounge from the control room door, and we saw a figure standing in the middle of the lounge, and Terran lying on the floor.
Hold it!
So you couldn't see who that figure was clearly or what they were doing?
Sadly, the only thing I could tell was that it was a person, standing motionless.
The defendant, no doubt, staring aghast at his deed. What other explanation is there?
I'm so close, but without evidence, I can't prove that person's the third party.
I don't relish in this, and I hate to say it, but I can only imagine this standing figure must have been Starbuck.
Hold it!
Aura Blackwell also saw a suspicious figure in the lounge, but she gave the statement that it was too dark to see the person's face clearly. Did you see this figure's face clearly?
No, not clearly. The lighter they were holding illuminated the area around their feet at the time. But other than that, I could see little else. That's why I could see Terran, but I couldn't see who the other person was.
So for all you know, it might not have been Mr. Starbuck, isn't that correct?
No, I would like to believe that. Starbuck isn't the type of man who's capable of murder.
Objection!
When the witness entered the boarding lounge, there was no third person there. Isn't that correct? Great Space Center Director.
Yes, that's right. Only Starbuck and Terran were there by that time. After we peeked in, the lounge suddenly went dark, and the figure vanished.
You mean they disappeared? That's odd.
Objection!
The reason the figure appeared to have vanished is because it was the defendant. When the witnesses weren't looking, he fell to the floor and feigned unconsciousness.
Hold it!
Hold on. Director Cosmos, did you ever take your eyes off of the scene?
Just for a brief instant. About as long as it takes for a shooting star to go by.
If you took your eyes off the scene, then this third person could have escaped during that time.
But what escape route could this person have used?
The direction opposite to the control room, the southern door to the elevators. There's no security lock on that door, so it would have been possible to escape that way.
Objection!
All things are possible, right, Dono? The real question is, do you have any proof?
Well...
If we're just talking possibilities, we could each profess whatever we'd like. An inmate who used to be a university professor and a lunar researcher used to say that there's a kingdom of little green men who live under the surface of the moon. As long as they don't punish us in the name of said moon for what we've done to it. That's a funny Sailor Moon. But I say, where's your proof that this quaint kingdom exists? Atropos with the $2, unknown culprit X. It's a devil's proof. That's true. He's calling your theory a work of fiction, boss. And he's right. I don't have any proof yet. Still. The southern door was a possible escape route. I'd better make a mental note of that. Director Cosmos, may I ask you a question?
Yes?
Why did you look away from the boarding lounge?
Ha ha ha! There's actually another tale of bravery behind the answer to that. It was when Detective Arms saw the figure and raised her gun. Being a great humanitarian and protector of mankind, I tried to stop her!
What? You're saying Detective Arm raised her gun as soon as she saw the figure?
I imagined her instincts as a detective told her they were the killer.
I don't know about that. And were you able to prevent Detective Arm from firing her gun?
I'm afraid I was too late. I was unable to stop her. She identified herself clearly, and then... she fired 2 warning shots at the shadowy figure.
This information about Detective Arm's actions sounds critically important. Please add it to your testimony.
Detective Arm fired 2 warning shots at the figure.
I never thought about that. But let's press it first. And neither of these 2 shots hit the culprit?
That is correct. The detective appears to have missed on purpose.
But did she really? There's something about this that bothers me. So, Detective Arm fired 2 warning shots, did she? That's the first time that info has come out. Wonder if I can find any inconsistencies. Okay, hold on. Let me look at the court record again. So, if I remember correctly... So yes, there was a bullet hole in the boarding lounge. It was in the corner of that screen that was showing the big funny creature. But at the same time, there was this one that was found in the gutter along, the south wall, which is right around... Oh, no, wait. Wrong map. Oh. Do I not have the map for the other... Well, we just saw it a second ago. I feel like that was literally... That's like right around the wall that Phoenix is talking about that they could have exited out of, right? Or that they could have left through. So, if she had fired a warning shot toward the figure, then why would it be near that wall? Right? It's just, it's a bit strange. is in the pamphlet. It might be? Let me see. Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah. Then yes, it does appear to, yeah, to be along that south wall. So yeah, I think if I have to guess, then I would have to say that that's probably what's weird. So let's go ahead and give it a shot. Give it a shot!
Objection!
No, probably not. Shame. Huh. Strange, though. Fired 2 warning shots. Huh. I mean, I would have to assume that that's definitely the statement to present on, though. Because obviously it's like, you know, you have to work to get it added to the testimony. Possession, a single... Oh, pff, a single bullet hole was found in the boarding lounge.
Objection!
Are you sure you were really paying attention to what Detective Arm was doing?
You doubt my words? That will someday be written down in history books!
Somehow, I don't think that those exact words will ever be written down in any history books. Mr. Wright, could you please explain yourself so that we can all understand? You say that Detective Arm fired 2 warning shots, and yet only 1 bullet hole was ever found at the scene. What? Only 1 bullet hole means the gun was only fired once.
Okay, yeah, so I have a feeling that what I was talking about is probably going to come up, but I may have been a little ahead of the game on that one. Such is the case with a lot of things in Ace Attorney. Oh well. Is how it is.
And yet Director Cosmos is saying Detective Arm fired 2 shots. No editor would allow such a glaring contradiction into a history book.
Objection!
Unfortunately for you, the witness's words are true. We confirm that the 2 shots were fired from Detective Arm's gun.
Objection!
But there was only 1 bullet hole at the scene. Where did the other bullet hole vanish to? Ah! You should know the answer to that already. I should? During the previous trial, a certain oxygen tank was presented as evidence. We've already discussed that it was ruptured in the lounge, have we not? Well, it appears the thing that ruptured it was a bullet. A bullet that was found near the tank, to be precise. This bullet was fired from a .38 caliber gun, the same caliber as the detective's gun. What?! The rifling marks also match up. There's no question that the bullet was fired from Detective Arm's gun.
Oh, now that I think about it, too, yeah. Or wait, no, is this the same one that just got updated? Hold on. No. Okay, it is a separate one. I just remembered, yeah, that this was fired from a 10 caliber. This is like a really tiny-ass bullet, too. That's interesting. That's very interesting. I hadn't even thought about that. I had completely forgotten about that little bit. I have to keep that in mind.
Rifling marks. They're like a gun's fingerprints on a bullet, correct? And examining the rifling marks on a bullet can tell us the gun it was fired from? One of the bullets the detective fired found its way into a holographic image display. The other bullet came to a stop near the victim's oxygen tank. The evidence confirms the director's statement that the detective fired 2 shots. My beautiful contradiction. Gone. All gone.
So, that bullet hole was from a .38 caliber, huh? I better update the record.
Very good. Now we know the fate of both of the shots Detective Arm fired. Mr. Wright, does that clear up all of your questions?
Detective Arm fired 2 warning shots. One hit the holographic display, and the other hit the oxygen tank. Does that really clear up everything about what happened at the scene? I mean... Does it? I mean, no, obviously it doesn't. No, Your Honor, it doesn't. Detective Arm fired 2 warning shots from a .38 caliber gun. But that doesn't explain the existence of a certain piece of evidence found at the scene. Okay, now we're gonna get to it. A piece that points to the existence of a third person. Oh.
Very well, but it won't do to keep us waiting, Mr. Wright. What piece of evidence suggests the possibility of a third person at the scene?
Okay, now we can trot it out, probably. Uh-huh.
And what is this metal pellet supposed to be?
Just a little something of great importance we found at the crime scene, Your Honor.
You found it where?
In a floor gutter at the crime scene. It looks like the police and prosecution both missed it. Furthermore, this is a 10 caliber bullet, making it much smaller than one of Detective Arm's 38 calibers.
Then that means...
Exactly. One more person must have been there in the lounge. A third person who had a gun that could fire 10 caliber bullets! And if that's true, it explains why Detective Arm fired warning shots. This third person fired at Detective Arm and Director Cosmos with their gun. And in return, the detective fired her warning shots. Isn't that how it really went down to Director Cosmos?
It looks like you've deduced my miraculous tale of survival. Yes, you're absolutely correct. The mystery person fired upon us.
What's this now?
What? You never breathed a word of any of this to me before. Well, all great men have a secret or two, don't you know?
Foolish old geezer.
So, Director Cosmos really has been hiding the presence of a third person all along? Director Cosmos, I want you to testify to the court about what you really saw.
You may be a very great man, but in my courtroom, you're just another witness. You won't receive special treatment here. Now please give accurate testimony.
What I really saw at the scene.
Detective Arm and I rushed to the control room together. In the lounge, we saw a figure standing in the middle of the room and Terran on the floor. We were still in the control room to the east when the figure fired at us.
Given that there was no third person in the lounge when the witness entered it, does this mean the person who fired the gun had to have been the defendant?
Not necessarily. It's still possible that it was someone else. Most likely, as soon as Detective Arm and Director Cosmos discovered this person, they escaped through the southern door, the one that didn't have a security lock.
Objection!
Double-edged swords are a tricky lot. Mishandle one and its use cut down. Your reasoning could never apply. Your reasoning could apply if Space Boy were the killer as well. Think about it. After being discovered, he could have fired the 10 caliber gun. Detective Arm would have responded by firing 2 warning shots. All he had to do was feign unconsciousness to invent the possibility of a third person.
Objection!
But Mr. Starbuck didn't have a gun in his possession when he was found by police. Nor has a gun been found at the crime scene. Its absence can only be explained if there was a third party who took it with them.
Objection!
Recall the existence of a trash chute in the boarding lounge. The defendant could have simply thrown the gun down the chute.
Objection!
But you can't deny the possibility of a third person leaving with the weapon.
Objection!
It's up to you to prove that possibility. And I trust you haven't forgotten my little piece of decisive evidence. What evidence? Why, the detonator switch that was found in Mr. Starbuck's pocket, naturally. The most compelling evidence of all that tells us he is the culprit. Ah!
I did forget all about that!
Look, your boldness, how deliciously obvious it is that they lack the evidence to rival mine.
Wow, he sliced our third-person theory to ribbons and served it to us just like that.
Yes, well, I have a question of my own, actually. That bullet in the mysterious figure shot, what did it hit exactly?
It hit me.
So does that mean that you're a ghost?
I was wondering when you would realize it, your boldness. Director Cosmos is an authentic, bona fide ghost. He can even pass through walls.
What, is he just fucking with them?
Objection!
Prosecutor Blackwell, shame on you for teasing the nice old gentleman.
Your boldness, it was all in jest. Please show yourself again.
He literally was like, I do a bit of trolling.
Are you sure? In that case... how did you manage to survive being shot, Director Cosmos?
I'm glad you asked. It was a miracle befitting a great history-making figure such as myself. The bullet hit my glorious Medal of Honor, whereby it ricocheted, thus saving my life.
What?
Are you fucking serious?
That's unbelievable.
I have to check this out. Oh, wow. Look at that. There's one extra Gaxa star.
The odds are literally astronomical. I guess it really was a miracle.
It's beginning to really feel like the Cosmos is watching out for Director Cosmos.
But why did you conceal this information, Director Cosmos?
A great man such as myself has to hide things on occasion, no matter how much it hurts. It is the plight of the truly great. It may be hard for this generation to understand.
I don't know, but it sounds fishy to me. What else is he hiding?
Let's just cross-examine him and see what we can find out.
Now then, Mr. Wright, your cross-examination, please.
Okay, Gendo Ikari. That's literally what I was thinking about with this pose, yeah. See, I'm conflicted on this one, because I literally just tried something with this a second ago and got my ass handed to me about it, but when he says, we were still in the control room to the east when the figure fired at us. Okay, so we've determined that the 10 caliber bullet is, or at least we're assuming that it's being fired by the culprit, the shadowy figure. But if he was I can't literally point in front of you, but if he was standing off to this bottom left corner, or, well, not necessarily in the corner, but, like, you know what I mean. If he's standing off down here toward the south, and they're up near the control room entrance on the right there, then if he fires at them, how the fuck does that bullet end up behind him? Unless it is the result of the ricochet, which was just mentioned. Which is fine, but then it begs the question of why Detective Arm's bullet ends up in the screen, which is like basically if you exit that door to the control room, it is directly in front of you. Like, why would she fire at the screen if he's standing down here? You know what I mean? I don't know if I'm just overthinking this, or if I'm just like not onto something. I mean, would the bullet ricochet this hard? That's also a fair point. I mean, like, that's just one way that I can see them trying to explain it. Especially because it's Ace Attorney. I don't know. You never know with Ace Attorney logic sometimes. But, yeah, I don't know. It's just... It reeks of suspicion to me. Just a little bit. I just wanted to thank you so much for Umineko, because I'm on stream 5 and loving it. Thank you. I particularly love your Maria voice. It made me like the character a lot more than I would have. Oh, thank you. I'm glad that you're enjoying it. Genuinely don't remember this part. Yeah, I'm probably going to... It is a warning shot that Arm fired. She could have wildly missed on purpose. That I guess so. That's fair enough. Yeah, because I mean, like, I guess if you're shooting right at them, it is a little harder to precisely miss. But, I don't know. I'm gonna save, though, just in case. Okay. I guess I guess I'll try the tiny bullet again.
Objection!
Okay, I was right. I was right that time. Fuck yes. Alright, let's go. Director Cosmos, I believe you're telling this great court a glorious lie.
A great man like me. Tell a lie? Have you ever heard of such a thing in all of history?
My accusation is based on the positions of the people who were in the lounge. According to your testimony, you and Detective Arm were near the control room door, and the mystery figure was standing in the middle of the boarding lounge. If, as you say, the figure fired a gun at you from this position, then the bullet would have traveled in this direction. However, we found a 10 caliber bullet here.
Oh,
This trajectory and where the bullet was actually found contradict each other. Director Cosmos, where were you really when you were being shot at? Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the human merry-go-round.
Objection!
don't tell me you've forgotten already. Didn't the witness himself just tell you? The bullet hit his metal. Of this, there's no mistake.
Objection!
But in that case, the bullet should have been found near the east side of the room. Are you trying to say that you can explain this inconsistency?
Of course.
Is he really gonna... I didn't think so. What?
Oh, great Director Cosmos. Yes?
Is there something you'd like me to expound upon?
You were in fact not in the control room to the east, were you? You were looking into the lounge from the door to the south. Is that not right?
Yeah!
What are you getting at? Use your own brain. Your head must have some use other than housing that bird's nest.
Bird's nest? Why does everyone pick on my hair?
Director Cosmos and the detective witnessed the scene from the southern door. The killer fired at them there, and that's why the bullet was found in the south.
That makes some sense, actually.
Also, the witness being at the southern door is rather favorable for the prosecution. Huh? I've got a bad feeling about this. How about it, Director? If you don't tell the truth this time.
Yikes! His handcuffs!
You will become but rust upon my sword.
I relish the chance to cut down a great man. All right, I'll tell the truth. Just put your sword away. You're correct. I, the great Yuri Cosmos, was looking into the room from the southern door.
What? That's the complete opposite of all the testimony he's given so far! And now you've lost your possibility that the third person was in the room.
I have? How?
The director and the detective were near the southern door. Meaning the killer couldn't have escaped through there. The western door required print recognition. The corridor beyond was filled with smoke. The only escape route left was the eastern control room door. And the only way to get through there was with Director Cosmos' fingerprints. In short, there would be no escape for any third person had there been one. My third person just disappeared, like in one of Trucy's magic tricks. Order! Order in the court! Director Cosmos, why did you tell such an outrageous lie? You were covering for the defendant. Isn't that right? Yes.
It was all for the love of my men. If I said I was in the eastern control room, it would mean the culprit could have escaped through the southern door. It would have meant that there could have been a third person. All I wanted to do was protect Starbuck. I said I was in the control room to invent an escape route for a third person.
What a convoluted lie. Was he really covering for the defendant?
It looks like we've come to a conclusion. That the defense's argument, the possibility of a third person, has crumbled.
No!
It's over. Yikes. The judge is about to hand down his verdict. Think, Phoenix. Think! This is the perfect time to try and turn my thinking around. If a third person had no way of escaping the scene, then what if one of the people at the scene was this third person? Wait, what if the whole premise is all wrong? Director Cosmos said that he and Detective Arm rushed to the scene together. But what if that premise isn't true? What if one of them reached the scene before the other one? And if that person entered the lounge, then they would be the third person.
The defendant is the only one who could have killed the victim and shot at the director. There doesn't appear to be any room for argument against these claims. I will now render my verdict.
Objection!
Please wait, Your Honor. There's still one possibility.
Oh, this had better be good, Mr. Wright.
There's one and only one person who could have escaped from the scene, and that person would be the first person who arrived on the scene. Then, upon entering the boarding lounge, the second person to arrive came via the southern door. That's why the first person fled from the room, using an escape route that was accessible only to them.
Very well. Let's hear more about this theory. Who is this one person that could have escaped from the boarding lounge?
I mean, I'm gonna save just in case, but I really feel like there's only one answer to those. So... sorry.
Take that!
What? But that's... Mr. Wright, what are you claiming here?
Of all the people who were at the scene, only the witness could have escaped. The director is the only one with the authority to open the control room door, after all.
But that means...
Exactly. The true identity of the third person is our current witness, Director Yuri Cosmos.
Yeah! What?
What?
Order! Order in the court, I say!
Mr. Wright, you will explain yourself in more detail.
I assert that Director Cosmos arrived at the scene before Detective Arm, and entered the boarding lounge alone. Detective Arm arrived after that and saw a suspicious figure who was actually Director Cosmos standing in the lounge. And that's why she fired those 2 warning shots.
Yeah! I've been hit! I've been hit on the starboard side!
Captain Wright! It's a direct hit on the enemy ship, sir! A magnificent shot!
Warning shots fired from the enemy ship! Prepare to intercept! Cosmos, you've told a lie in this court once again. Yeah, I've been hit! I've been hit on the port side! The enemy has called in reinforcements!
Earth to Cosmos Control Center, requesting permission to ask that you return to reality.
But my ship will not go down to anything less than the ultimate weapon of evidence!
Objection!
But I do have evidence. In fact, you could say that your battleship bears its scar. If Director Cosmos is the third person Aura Blackwell saw, this third person fired at Detective Arm and Director Cosmos with their gun, and in return, the detective fired her warning shots. Isn't that how it really went down, Director Cosmos?
Ha ha ha! It looks like you've deduced my miraculous tale of survival. Yes, you're absolutely correct. The mystery person fired upon us.
Director Cosmos must have been the one who fired the 10 caliber gun. When Detective Arm discovered him in the lounge, it only makes sense that he would have turned and shot at her. Therefore, the evidence on the director's body is of a different kind of relevance than before. Once we compare it against another piece of evidence, the mark that you received from the third party will be all the proof we need to prove that you were the one in the lounge.
Brace for further impact!
Comparison against this piece of evidence will prove that you were the one in the lounge.
Take that!
The .38 caliber bullet found on the floor at the scene didn't hit the oxygen tank. It hit Director Cosmos' metal. If we have that ricochet mark on the metal analyzed, I'm sure the caliber will match up. And if that mark proves to be from a .38 caliber bullet, it will prove that you're the third person we've been looking for!
Yeah! The bridge is destroyed! Losing altitude! All hands abandon ship!
If that's true, then what about the bullet that hit the oxygen tank?
It was the 10 caliber bullet. In other words, it was the bullet fired by Yuri Cosmos. Isn't that right, Director?
No! You've got it all wrong! What? The engines have started again? It's a miracle! I'm not going down just yet!
Witness, stop this at once and confess the truth.
If you don't want the history books to say that a great man was a great liar, then accept your fate and tell the truth!
Are you giving me orders? Me, the great director of the Cosmos Space Center? But the cosmos revolves around me! Someone get me off this thing!
Order! Order in the court! And will someone please stop the witness from spinning?
I love this guy.
Phew. Thank goodness we were able to stop him from spinning off the face of the earth. While he was twirling, I took the liberty of running an analysis on the mark of the metal. And it was made by a .38 caliber bullet, matching it with the size of the detective arm's firearm. Are you ready to confess the truth, witness?
No, you've got it all wrong. This is just a misunderstanding.
Is he going to start piling on more lies?
Looks like it.
New World Chalik with the $5. Hello, my friend. I really love how you criticize Danganronpa characters for most things you didn't like, not just because of transphobic stuff. I mean, well, yeah, I would... they all have problems that are not mutually exclusive to bigoted writing, obviously, although those are also problems. Firesonic225 with the $10. So this is what happens when you lie in court. You just get rotated endlessly. Sentenced to rotate for 1 million years.
You'll make that big liar tell the truth.
Oh, okay. That was a very short court segment. Okay, we're back to it.
Director Cosmos, a new possibility has been presented by the defense. They're claiming that you were this third person.
Forgive me. I'm so sorry.
So the great pioneer of space development is revealed to just be another fabulous cur. I only have one question for the likes of you. Shall I send you off quickly, or very quickly?
Chalik, I think you're... To be candid, to be polite, I think you're speaking a little out of turn. I would recommend possibly laying off the subject. The Bandana D with $5. Are you ready to confess the truth? Are you ready to confess the truth? No, Your Honor. The theme for it isn't playing.
The evidence doesn't lie, Director Cosmos, so don't try to talk your way out of this.
Fine. I'll tell the truth. It's all just as you say, Mr. Wright. It's true that I was there in the boarding lounge. I got there before Detective Arm, and when she arrived, she fired warning shots at me. I was afraid people would mistake me for the killer, so I escaped to the control room. I then went past the elevators and all the way around to the boarding lounge one again. I came up behind Detective Arm and pretended to be the second on the scene.
What a troublesome old man you are, with such convoluted deeds and thoughts. I see. So then, are you still insisting that you did not kill the victim?
Of course I am. When I arrived at the lounge alone,
Moonlight Mariposa with the $5. Question, do you plan on playing Spirit of Justice next, if you haven't already? Probably. Probably. That's all I'll say for now.
I saw the true killer. The great Yuri Cosmos was a history-making witness.
Now hold on just one moment. We just proved a few minutes ago that the third person that Mr. Starbuck and Miss Aura Blackwell saw was you.
No, it wasn't me. I saw the person as well. If I were the killer, why would I lie to cover for Starbuck? I would just leave him to take the fall.
That is an excellent point.
All I wanted to do was protect Starbuck. I said I was in the control room to invent an escape route for a third person.
Well, it makes some sense if we told those lies to cover for Mr. Starbuck.
Still, a lie is a lie, Athena.
So Director Cosmos claims he's not the culprit. But where's the proof?
Ah, I just remembered. I have an alibi. Miss Blackwell said that she saw the killer at 10 a.m., correct?
Yes. And?
Well, I was on the 4th floor helping with the evacuation effort. Ask any members of the staff you'd like. They'll corroborate me.
The director's not fibbing to the court for once. I confirm that he has an alibi for the time specified. So, you're claiming that Miss Blackwell saw the killer commit the crime first at 10 a.m. And that you arrived at the lounge after that?
Yes, I believe the person I saw is the same person that Miss Blackwell saw.
Although it was pitch black, so it was more of a shadowy figure and less of a person. And I couldn't actually see their face, but it was definitely the silhouette of an Earthling.
As long as he has an alibi. We can't very well claim Director Cosmos was the killer.
No, we can't. Then again, maybe we don't need to yet. I wonder if he was really covering for Mr. Starbuck. Your Honor, the defense moves to have the director testify about the person he saw.
Very well. Director Cosmos, your testimony, please.
What I really witnessed.
As I tried to enter the lounge, the true killer inside fired a gun at me. I hid to avoid getting shot. But when I tried to get another look, they had vanished into thin air. I was near the elevator side door and, well, the Launchpad 1 door. And the control room door should have shut tight to the killer.
So you were shot at by the killer as well, and then they disappeared?
Yes, though luckily no harm came to my glorious body. Unfortunately, the bullet hit Terran's oxygen tank. I know because I heard a pang. That must have been the sound of the tank being ruptured.
Wait, but I thought the bullet hit his metal?
That was Detective Arm's bullet, remember?
Right. What a mess this is turning into. So let's see. Director Cosmos is claiming that when he found Mr. Terran and his killer, the culprit shot a 10 caliber bullet at him.
Right, but it actually hit Mr. Terran's oxygen tank and ruptured it.
And then the killer disappeared, and the director went into the boarding lounge. When Detective Arm caught up and fired those warning shots at him. Judging by his metal, it looks like one of them almost took him out, too.
Good summary. But that doesn't explain where our mystery killer went. Director Cosmos, I was wondering if you could elaborate on when the figure disappeared.
I'm ashamed to admit I tried to hide myself when I was shot at, but when I peeped back into the lounge, the real killer was gone. I rushed into the lounge straight away to investigate. But what I found was Terran with a knife in his chest, and Starbuck out cold on the floor.
So we have a culprit who vanished from a scene that had no escape route.
Vanished without a trace. It's truly like one of the great mysteries of the cosmos.
Silence.
A riddle of the ages indeed. But I'd rather know, How a fibbing leech such as you can be lauded as great.
A great man is always misunderstood in his own time, but he must remain true to himself, even if those around him don't understand.
Wow, that might be the first true statement he said all day. But how do you suppose this person managed to vanish so suddenly?
Simple. Because it was Spaceboy himself. When he was spotted by the director and Aura, he quickly feigned unconsciousness. That would certainly take all the mystery out of the idea of a vanishing culprit. I want to raise an objection, but I don't have any counter evidence. Director Cosmos, when you saw this person, did you also see Mr. Starbuck on the floor?
No, because it was as dark as a black hole in there. I didn't see Starbuck until the other person vanished and I entered the room.
That wasn't exactly helpful. I'm prepared to accept your surrender, right, Dono? I can't find any holes in this testimony, but I can't give up.
Mr. Wright, why don't you let me help? While the director was giving his testimony, I detected a cacophony of discord.
Which means he's hiding his true feelings from us, huh? That might just help us find out what happened to our vanished killer. That'd be great, Athena. Let's see what you can do with him.
You got it, boss. I wouldn't want to miss this chance to delve into a great mind. Yuri Cosmos, prepare to hand over the secrets of your heart to me.
All right. So, real quick, since voice mod was giving me trouble earlier, I just need to ask everybody real quick before I start going at this. Is the voice changer working? Can you hear the effect when I do this? Just want to make sure. Okay, yes. It's working. Cool.
As I tried to enter the lounge, the true killer inside fired a gun at me. I hid to avoid getting shot. But when I tried to get another look, they had vanished into thin air. I was near the elevator side door. And well, the launchpad 1 door. And the control room door should have been shut tight to the killer.
Talk about mixed feelings. He must be trying to account for a number of contradictions.
Firesonic225 with the $10. Your Honor, the witness has been rotated so much he can barely think straight. Let him have some therapy immediately. Get this guy out of here.
Mr. Wright, maybe this time we shouldn't look just for contradictory emotions. We should also look for emotions that should be there, but aren't.
I guess it shouldn't be a surprise that his mind is a convoluted place, too.
He must have felt very shaken and distressed at the time. Let's focus on the fluctuations in his emotions and see what we can uncover.
Okay, yeah, I was kind of thinking that was going to be the case, considering all of the actual emotion reactions seemed pretty on point. Tried to enter the lounge. True killer inside fired a gun at me. Tried to avoid getting shot. When I tried to get another look, the killer vanished into thin air. Okay. I think maybe this.
You must have thought it was very strange that the killer vanished into thin air.
I did. That kind of thing just doesn't happen usually.
And yet, at the time, you barely registered any shock at the occurrence.
What? Why are you...
I can only think of one reason as to why you weren't surprised by the killer's vanishing act. You must have had a good idea of where they went. Isn't that right?
What? No, of course not. That's preposterous.
Only I can enter...
Only I can enter the control room. And the area beyond the launchpad door was filled with smoke, making it impassable. As for the southern door... I was standing right there. So there was nowhere for the killer to run to.
Maybe. Or maybe not. You went into the room to check on Mr. Starbuck and Mr. Terran, yes? What if the culprit took that opportunity to silently slip out through the southern door?
I highly doubt it. As you recall, right after I entered the lounge, Detective Arm came rushing towards it herself via the southern hallway. Anyone trying to escape through there would have been caught by her.
And yet, the director wasn't surprised the killer had vanished. So you're absolutely sure there was no escape route for the culprit to use?
It's working, boss. One more punch and it'll be a knockout. There seems to be one more emotion that's at odds with his testimony. Go get him.
Okay, back in the Matrix it is. Time to pinpoint our way to victory.
Okay. Fired a gun at me. Had to avoid getting shot. Tried to get another look. They vanished into thin air. I was near the elevator side door. And well, the Launchpad 1 door. Uh-huh. Yeah, that's... strange. What's this?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but you seem to be afraid of the Launchpad door.
The great Yuri Cosmos? Afraid? And what basis do you have for that outlandish accusation?
Whether I have any basis or not, you seem quite distressed by it.
Most certainly not.
Director Cosmos! There's something about the Launchpad door you're not telling us, isn't there?
Wow, he's speechless. Looks like you hit the nail on the head, boss. Now, just input those 2 pieces of data, and... Yes! Just what I wanted to see. Presto changeo. Less discord. It looks like we're on the right track.
Thanks, Athena. Now to make sense of what we learned. Director Cosmos wasn't surprised that the culprit suddenly vanished from the lounge, which points to the possibility that he knew where the killer had escaped to. Furthermore, talking about the door to the Launchpad made him uneasy. In other words, he's probably hiding something about the Launchpad 1 door. When we put these 2 pieces together, only one solution to this puzzle comes to mind. Director Cosmos, did the real killer escape through here?
I mean... talking about this?
The culprit went through the Launchpad 1 door to escape, didn't they?
Yes. No. Disaster to starboard! We're going to crash into an asteroid!
A master tactician, you are not.
But the area beyond that door was filled with smoke, wasn't it?
True. But this is still the only logical answer there is. If we can just figure out what the director is hiding about the Launchpad 1 door, we should be able to iron out the logical inconsistencies.
But that door requires fingerprint recognition. Only Starbuck, Terran, and I have access. I don't see how the killer could have just opened that security lock. Do you?
That's an easy one. The killer was right there in the boarding lounge, meaning there's a way he could have easily gotten past that security lock. Come to think of it, we did examine the prints on the fingerprint recognition device. I propose that the killer used this person's fingerprints to get past the security lock.
Okay, We did examine the prints on the fingerprint recognition device. I can't remember whose prints they were, though. Huh. Yeah, and I can't look at the thing right this second. Hold on, let me save real quick. Does anybody recall off the top of their head whose prints they said were on it? Or did they say whose prints were on it? Because I can't remember. My brain... I don't have that good of memory, right? I don't think they said. Well, I mean, I guess it could just be... No. Yeah, I could have thought that it just, you know, bleh, whatever.
That person's fingerprints were not found on the device.
You sounded so sure only to produce this nonsense. What were you thinking? Well, I was thinking my curl could use a trim.
He grew it back instantly. Check the record. I mean, I can't check the record. That's why I was, it wouldn't let me. Although I can check it right this second, I guess. Okay, yeah, it does say that Starbucks were found on there. Although, honestly, I mean, like, it's not necessarily out of the question to imagine that they could have just, like, dragged his hand over there, but yeah, it might have been a little too much trouble. I mean, that said... Yeah, I mean, right, Starbuck was unconscious and alive, so...
Take that!
That's...
Mr. Starbuck was lying unconscious there in the boarding lounge. Anybody could have easily gotten past the security lock by using Mr. Starbuck's prints. And actually, Mr. Starbuck's prints are exactly what we found on the device's screen.
Yeah!
Am I going nuts? Wasn't Clay's glove off in the murder photo? It was, wasn't it? I'm pretty sure. Yes, it is. That's kind of what I was thinking too, although they did have to take it off to get his fingerprints. I remember them saying that. So that's probably why his glove was off. But it did definitely make me think of that.
It looks like he does have something to hide up at the Launchpad 1 door. And I'm betting it's got something to do with the culprit's escape route. But I don't have enough information to see the whole picture yet. You know, something just occurred to me. Would you like to hear it? Huh? Oh, yes, by all means. The judge thinking? That's a rarity. I gotta see what this is about. There's a security camera in boarding lounge 1. Right, the one that recorded the victim and the defendant. What about it, Your Honor? If the true culprit escaped into the Launchpad 1 corridor, then that might be recorded on the security footage as well. Then the mystery would be solved. What do you think of my logic? I hope you didn't strain your faculties too much for that, Your Boldness. I beg your pardon? With this security footage, this deduction is trivial. For the Ace Attorney Judge, what do you think, everyone? Look, if we play the security footage beyond this point... Oh my! The footage cuts off! The camera was running on backup power, but apparently the power cables were damaged. Most likely by the after effects of the explosion. There's no footage after this, be it of criminals or space aliens. And I thought it was such a good idea, too. Just because your grandchild is watching from the gallery, it doesn't mean you should try to show off too much, Grandpa Boldness. Prosecutor Blackwell, how did you know about my grandchild?
I think his grandchild just learned a little bit about the harshness of the adult world.
Setting aside the issue of grandchildren, I'd like to have the witness continue. Director Cosmos, could you tell us more about when you entered the lounge?
If I must. I hid to avoid getting shot. After the killer vanished, I went into the lounge. But that's when Detective Arm appeared, from the elevator side door. And then, the detective shot at me. So you see, the killer could have only escaped to the launch pad, right?
What do you think about Director Cosmos' emotional responses, Athena?
Actually, my cat is really sick, you know?
What? Oh, I'm very sorry to hear that.
And on top of that, my dog just doesn't seem to want to play with me.
Why are you telling me all this now?
Just humor me, okay? Now, when you heard about my cat, and then about my dog, which story made you feel sadder?
The story about your cat, of course. It's only natural.
Exactly. That would be the natural reaction. But there's nothing natural about the director's reactions. I think how each individual reaction changes across the whole testimony will be the key.
Sounds unnaturally complicated. But that somehow doesn't surprise me. Okay, so he's scared here about getting shot, obviously. After the killer vanished, I went into the lounge. He's still scared. Detective Arm appears and he's shocked, but he's not scared anymore. Then the detective shot at me. He is scared, shocked, and angry. So you see, the killer could have only escaped to the launch pad, right? And he's just feeling nothing there. Huh. This one seems a little tough. The intensity is the key, I think. Oh yeah, I haven't really been paying attention to that, I guess. So he's really scared here. He's only a little scared here. He's very shocked here. His shock goes down here, though. That's interesting. Like, it's way more intense when she first appears, and way less intense when she's shooting at him. Which, yeah, that does seem a bit strange to me.
Director Cosmos, why were you so surprised when Detective Arm found you, and again when she fired? Isn't that a bit unnatural?
Okay, he's not pointing out what I wanted him to point out.
Sadly, even great men such as myself have ordinary human feelings. Our bodies are bound by the forces of gravity and emotions. Even a great man such as myself experiences surprise on occasion.
Yes, I'm sure you do. But my real point is not the fact that you were surprised, but rather what you were surprised by.
Okay, we're getting to it.
Pardon me?
First, you were surprised when Detective Arm found you in the lounge. And just after that, you were of course again surprised when she shot at you. But considering what you were surprised about, a strange phenomenon occurs here. Director Cosmos, what's strange about your surprised reaction is the fact that you were...
More surprised when Arm came, yeah.
Sure, you were surprised when Detective Arm shot at you, but the surprise you felt when she found you in the lounge was much greater. The fact that you were more surprised by simply being found than being shot at suggests to me that you were conflicted about whatever it was you were doing there.
Care Bear us the $5. You'll ever be like, get shot? Oh damn, wow, I was seriously confused you were here, but guess the gun's substantially less surprising. We vibe. Many such cases.
The enemy has acquired a new weapon. Commence Operation Hide Under Your Desk.
Please tell me I finally sunk his battleship.
Not quite.
Boss, I'm getting less Discord now. That must mean he really is hiding something about that launch pad door.
And whatever he's hiding most likely has something to do with the killer's escape.
I wonder what it could be.
If he was doing something suspicious around that door, maybe we can spot some change before he came to the room and after.
Detective Fulbright gave us a photo taken after the crime. Let's run a comparison. Let's see. This is footage of the door before Director Cosmos arrived.
Okay.
And this is how the door looked after the director entered the lounge.
Wait a second, go back. Where's that fucking picture? Again. The knob is different. The knob on the left is different. It's in a different position.
Hey, look at that. There is a change. Something's definitely different. Director Cosmos.
What is it? What have you two been up to over there?
Finding the answer to what you were doing when Detective Arm found you, that's what. And that answer lies clearly in this footage. All we have to do is compare it to the photo that was taken during the investigation.
Don't be ridiculous! If you really do have an answer, you'd have pointed it out already.
He's asking for it. This is what changed directly after the incident. The answer is this knob.
That's...
Your Honor, please take a look at this footage.
Let's see.
Take a look at the knob next to the launch pad door. As you can see, it's horizontal.
Yes, it is, isn't it?
However, when we investigated the scene of the crime yesterday, the knob was vertical.
And what does that mean?
It means that sometime before the director arrived and after, someone turned this knob. 1 second. Okay. 1 second. Okay. Austin is making dinner, so I just told him to knock on my door whenever it's ready, so I'll probably take a quick BRB whenever dinner is ready to eat real quick. I don't know how long it's gonna take, but just letting you guys know. After the scene was discovered, you were the only one who could have turned the knob. Come on now, Director Cosmos. Let's hear what you have to say. What were you trying to do by turning that knob by the door?
Fine, I admit it. You're right. I did turn that knob. The knob is a safety lock meant to keep the launch pad in place. I was afraid there would be more explosions. So I wanted to move the launch pad away.
You wanted to do what?
Hey, didn't Ponko tell us something about how they prepare for launch? She said that once the launch pad is fully assembled, it's moved to the launch site. But the safety lock in the boarding lounge has to be disengaged first.
I guess that clears up what the knob is for.
Oh, so if the killer escaped into the Launchpad 1 corridor, maybe they were transported along with the launch pad to the launch site.
I don't think so. The Launchpad 1 corridor was filled with smoke. I don't think they could have escaped through that corridor.
So then, where did the killer escape to?
I guess there are still some things we have to uncover. Director Cosmos, I request that you tell us about moving the launch pad in more detail.
Fine. But listen carefully, for I'm about to give history-making testimony. I had no choice but to disengage the safety lock. I feared there might be more explosions. So I had to cut the launch pad loose. Surely the only escape the killer had was through launch pad 1. But that area was a sea of smoke. Confound it! Where on earth could they have gone?
The director seems driven into a corner now. I can tell he's having a hard time hiding his true feelings.
Just one final push then.
His attempts to conceal the truth shouldn't be all that hard for us to break through. If we keep at it calmly, I'm sure we'll cross the finish line.
Okay, yeah. There's obviously one right off the bat that's very suspicious. What the fuck are you happy about?
I had no choice but to disengage the safety lock. You make it sound like you were reluctant to do so, and yet when you did it, you felt some joy, as if you were very pleased with yourself.
Ah! How do you do it? How do you know everything as if you were there?
Pretty impressive, isn't it? This is the power of analytical psychology.
If you say so, Athena. This game's understanding of psychology is is it's something.
So, care to explain why you felt joy when you disengaged the safety lock? When I think back on the facts we've discovered up to this point, I have to believe that you were trying to fulfill some hidden agenda.
Ah! How do you know about that too?
Because I'm more or less a pro at guessing.
But you have no proof that I had a hidden agenda. And even if I did, I would never, ever tell you. So there!
I know they say people regress as they grow older, but you, sir, take the cake.
And how could you doubt a man with such great intensity, intelligence, and integrity?
Silence.
You, a man of integrity? Huh, don't make me laugh. Prosecutor Blackwell? What came over him all of a sudden? You've spouted nothing but falsity since you stepped up to the stand. You're not the kind of man that will be glorified in the annals of history. Not for greatness, anyway. Unless you consider greatest bare-faced liar an honor.
Liar!
His words bite harder than his blade. You moved Launchpad 1 after the explosions? My, how naive you are. You fail to realize how even the facts themselves have betrayed you. You know, just a thought, but modern English can be your friend. And here's a thought for you. Immediately following the bombing, Launchpad 1 was on the boarding lounge one side. The police confirmed this on scene. What?
Liar!
So that means the director didn't move the launch pad?
Curse my judgment for calling history's greatest liar to the witness stand. Let us leave him to indulge in his lies and war games to his heart's content.
Liar!
But it doesn't make sense. You can't deny that someone turned that knob. And once the safety lock was released, I'm sure the pad must have went somewhere. If we chase down the truth of this issue, we just might find where the killer escaped to. Yeah! You're sure it must have went somewhere? We just might find out. Your arguments are nothing but conjecture, bluffing, and wishful thinking.
Care Bear and Russell, the $5. Shower thoughts, but hey, do you think they associated Apollo with the Space Center because the project where people landed on the moon was the Apollo project? I mean, yeah, I've kind of been thinking about that as well, yeah.
Stop chasing your fantasies and see reality for what it is. Or are you not or are you not man enough to, boy? Yeah!
Talk about heading below the belt.
Youngins these days. I don't understand it. I'm sure Director Cosmos must have moved the launch pad. The knob was definitely turned after he came to the lounge. But the launch pad is right where it's supposed to be. Wait a minute. Maybe I have it all backwards. What if the director turned the knob, not to move the launch pad away, but to bring it back to where it was supposed to be? What are you blathering about? What if the launch pad was at the launch site before the incident, and then, after the incident, Director Cosmos moved it back to its usual spot? All he had to do was turn the knob to call the launch pad back. And it would be right where the police found it. Yeah!
You made him sigh like Mr. Starbuck.
Was what I said really that off base? It pains me to have to explain how wrong your own logic is to you, however. Our great liar turned the knob only after he discovered the crime scene. Indeed, the pad existed beyond the lounge where our Astro Wonders made their escape. A fact that has been recorded for posterity on filmless film. Oh, right. So to reiterate, stop chasing your fantasies and see reality for what it really is, boy.
Get a grip, Mr. Wright, and focus. We know the launch pad must have been moved.
But our deductions and the actual facts of the case are in direct contradiction to each other.
Well, maybe the two astronauts never actually boarded the rocket. This footage could be fake, taken with body doubles after the incident or something. On second thought, that's too far-fetched even for me.
Never actually boarded the rocket. Hey, wait a minute. Maybe. Just maybe. Prosecutor Blackwell, what if I told you that the two astronauts never set foot inside the launch pad area, but instead went into another place? And what if when the director moved launch pad 1 back, it was not from the launch site, but from another place? What would you say then? Cut the existential bull or I'll cut you.
Mr. Wright, you'll explain yourself at once.
I know I'm right. It was all the other way around from the beginning. Very well, Your Honor. Let me explain. Director Cosmos' reason for moving Launchpad 1 was...
Hold on, let me look at the map again, real quick. Hey. Okay. For Cosmos' reason for moving Launchpad 1 was... Let's go through these one at a time. To hide it... I don't know about that. To switch it with another place, I mean, I guess we had just said that. To trap the true killer. I mean, he was feeling triumphant, so maybe. Nah, probably not then, I would guess. Yeah. Let's just... I already know you're gonna penalize me, so let's just load back. Nope, that's not it either. Because he wanted to switch it with some other play. I mean, you literally just said that! You just said that in the narration. That's literally why I assumed that that wasn't it. Because I'm like, well, he literally just said that exact sentence. Oh well.
I'm sorry, but did you say switch it? But what could he have possibly switched the launch pad with?
Oh, you'd be surprised, Your Honor. All it takes is a little thinking outside the box, and the answer becomes as clear as day. This is what was switched with Launchpad 1.
I mean... I mean, like, literally the only thing could be... Right?
Take that!
Launchpad 1 was switched with the Space Museum? In the past, the Space Museum used to be Launchpad 2. It has all the same features as Launchpad 1, and can be even moved to the launch site.
Yeah, I mean, like, I guess I overthink repetitive questions, but I just find them really annoying because it's like, okay, you're gonna ask me to say this answer of a thing that you already just said. Like, I'm going to feel tricked by that in every instance because it's like, well, then why did you say it? If you're gonna ask me the question, then why did you just tell me the answer 2 seconds ago?
Meaning the Space Museum and Launchpad 1 can also be switched with each other.
can't mean?
The rocket the astronauts boarded was not the one in Launchpad 1. It was the one in the Space Museum.
What? Balderdash!
And yet, it's the only explanation that accounts for every riddle and inconsistency. This is how the Space Center was just before the incident. I see Launchpad 1 and the Space Museum have already switched places. That's right. And with the two switched like this, the astronauts entered the Space Museum from Boarding Lounge 1. This allowed the true killer to enter Launchpad 1 from Boarding Lounge 2 and set the bomb on the rocket.
Come to think of it, the door to the Space Museum from Boarding Lounge 2.
Welcome! The Space Museum is open to the public every day of the year from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Exactly. Anyone could pass through the door to the Space Museum. There's no fingerprint recognition system on that door. In other words, with the two launch pads switched like that, someone other than Mr. Starbuck could have easily planted that bomb. After setting the bomb on the rocket, the culprit snuck into Boarding Lounge 1 and waited there, concealed, in order to kill Mr. Terran when the two astronauts emerged from the Space Museum. Recall that Miss Blackwell, Mr. Starbuck, and the director all saw a suspicious figure, who we can suppose after killing Mr. Terran, made their escape into the Space Museum. After that, Director Cosmos switched the two launch pads back, without realizing that the killer was inside the Space Museum. The killer then left the Space Museum and made a clean getaway! Right, Dono. I see you know how to handle a sword and handle it well. Perhaps I should call you Swordsmaster Bluff. I'm a seasoned warrior who's cut down many a prosecutor.
Silence.
But unless you can prove your theory is no better than a rusty sword.
That's right! You have no proof I switched the launch pads!
Somebody needs a better anger management counselor.
If the launch pads really were switched, there might be a record of it somewhere.
At this point, Launchpad 1 and the Space Museum were switched with each other.
So the corridor beyond the door should be the one that belonged to the Space Museum. Let's see. This is an image of the Launchpad 1 corridor. Do you see anything different when we compare it to the security footage?
Oh wait, it was the disc, right? Oh, whoops. There. The line there, the one. That looks like a 2 back there.
Huh? That number on the floor. Oh, he literally just said it. Well, what do you know? It looks like we have proof after all, Prosecutor Blackwell. I know this is just another bluff. Oh, don't worry. It's all right here. Right in this footage. Proof that beyond this door is the corridor to the Space Museum.
Very well then. Answer this for me, if you would. What in this footage proves that the corridor belongs to the Space Museum?
Right there.
There's a 1 on the floor of the Launchpad 1 corridor. But take a look at the floor of the corridor in the security footage. Do you see the number on the floor behind the astronauts? It doesn't look like a 1, does it? Because what you see is actually part of a 2.
Care Baronos at the $5. Hey, just a query, but why is the pic the form of record we're referring to? There are 2 massive platforms. Did seriously nobody clock this happening?
What?
Why is it a 2 and not a 1? That's because the corridor you see is the one to the Space Museum.
And so that means the corridor in this footage was not filled with smoke.
That's right, because the explosion didn't occur in the Space Museum. The explosion occurred in Launchpad 1, on the site opposite of the Space Museum. And now that we know the two astronauts escaped from the Space Museum, the mystery from the previous trial of how they got down the ladder is cleared up. Mr. Terran, carrying Mr. Starbuck, simply took the elevator from the upper level down to the middle level.
Just incredible. The two launch pads were actually switched. But you'd think someone would have noticed an event of this magnitude.
Everyone was down in the basement shelter when the launch pads were swapped back. There's no way anyone could have known what was happening on the surface. No more lies, Director Cosmos. It's high time you told us the truth!
My honor, my glory, everything is slipping away. Time to deploy my ultimate weapon, Galactic Engine Ignition. What? It's gone haywire! It won't stop! Oh, my stars, my glory! No, not that way!
Bailiff, on your steed and after that witness!
That was a really good breakdown. Oh, they fixed that door real quick.
I see we managed to retrieve you before you came to any bodily harm.
Director Cosmos, do you admit that you switched the launch pads?
I admit it's true.
I switched Launchpad 1 for the Space Museum.
It's good to hear words I can believe for a change.
All hail Sunset Youth 2 with the $5. Fun fact, one of the stars in Cosmos' breakdown has Super Mario eyes if you look closely, at least in the 3DS version. Oh, that's cute.
Before you do, Your Honor, two things. First, we don't know if Mr. Terran had prior knowledge of the switch. As for Mr. Starbuck, he was unaware of his surroundings thanks to his medication. Which is how that works for some reason. Either way, Mr. Terran would have realized the instant he stepped into the Space Museum that it had been switched with Launchpad 1. So my first question is, if the Space Museum was perfectly fine, why did Mr. Terran feel the need to put on such a dramatic display? As for my second question, I'd like Director Cosmos to tell us why he switched the two launch pads to begin with.
Please, I can't. I exercise my right to remain silent, but I will say my hands were tied. I was only doing what I could to keep my men from getting caught in that blast.
The director is terrified. He must have one heck of a reason for not wanting to explain why.
Probably not a good time to try and pry it out of him, huh?
Excuse me, but would you mind if I picked up my stars? Without my badge of rank, nothing.
I don't see why not. Bailiff, help the director retrieve his stars. It appears the possibility of a culprit other than the defendant has presented itself.
Mr. Tricked us! Mr. Starbuck.
Starbuck, my boy.
I'm sorry. I can't tell you the reason why, but I had to do it to protect the Space Center.
Director! Will I ever get the chance to go to space again?
Yes.
Yes, of course. I won't rest until it happens. I will get you into space again, my boy.
Then the dream is still alive.
Silence.
You're not going into space, Starbuck. But prison, I won't have it any other way. Why are you so hung up on him? Yes, I accept the launch pads really were switched. And if there were a third person at the scene, I suppose they could have escaped. But I have yet to see proof of this third person's escape via the Space Museum.
Oh? That's a good point.
He's right. I don't have any proof.
Starbuck, you'll spill everything you know. What? Me?
Where did you get those bombs?
Tell me now!
If you don't...
My blade shall feast on your blood! I'm gonna die. If I'm gonna die, I wanna die in space!
I have to do something.
Solomon Starbuck, prepare yourself! Now, you know violence isn't the answer, Prosecutor Blackwell.
That annoyingly cheerful laugh. It can be none other than...
Champion of righteousness, Bobby Fulbright here. In justice we trust.
Detective Fulbright?
Sorry to keep you waiting, Mr. Lawyer. I hope I'm not too late.
I don't believe we had an appointment.
I tried to hurry, but I ended up helping a little old lady cross the street. And then I had to break up a catfight. I tell you, justice sure is a full-time job.
Was it a fight between cats, or...
Why are you here again?
Because the defendant isn't the culprit, and I came to make sure that justice is served.
I don't have any idea what you're talking about. Fulbright. I always thought you were a bit touched in the head. But have you finally succumbed?
Nope, but it looks like you've succumbed to this phantom of yours. Open your eyes and let the evidence of justice uncloud your judgment!
What evidence?
Come to think of it, he did say something about finding us some evidence.
Thanks, you two. I feel a lot better now that I've been able to get that off my chest. I'm going to work extra hard to find that perfect piece of evidence for you.
He's gonna bail us out? I didn't think he was serious, though.
So, what is it, Detective? Is it something that will prove Mr. Starbuck innocent?
It is indeed. Have a look at this.
What's this? A lighter?
That's right. A lighter thought to have been used by the culprit, no less. The Space Museum's cleaning robot picked it up. It has the victim Clay Terran's blood, along with his killer's fingerprints on it.
What?
That is really convenient. Huh.
Order! Order! Detective Fulbright, can I assume that the fingerprints don't belong to the defendant?
You bet! Mr. Starbuck is totally innocent.
This is it. This is just what I needed. Your Honor, this is decisive evidence that supports the defense's earlier claim.
Explain yourself, Mr. Wright.
With pleasure, Your Honor. Recall where this lighter was found. Based on that, we can extrapolate that after the killer murdered Mr. Terran, they escaped with the lighter in hand into the Space Museum, where they dropped it. The switching of the two launch pads occurred. Then finally, the killer left through Boarding Lounge 2 and made their escape. Meanwhile, Mr. Starbuck was found in Boarding Lounge 1 after the murder, a fact that Director Cosmos has testified to. Therefore, Mr. Starbuck couldn't have possibly been the one to drop the lighter there.
Silence.
But the defendant had free reign of the area until Director Cosmos appeared. Could he not have dropped the lighter in the Space Museum during that span of time?
Objection!
You'd like that to be true, wouldn't you? But Director Cosmos testified that right after he saw the mysterious figure with the lighter, he went into the lounge and found the unconscious Mr. Starbuck. In other words, Mr. Starbuck wouldn't have had the time to double back to the museum. No, Prosecutor Blackwell, this lighter could only have been dropped by the real killer. Most importantly, Mr. Starbuck's fingerprints were nowhere to be found on this lighter. I think you understand what this means, don't you? This piece of evidence unequivocally proves that Mr. Starbuck wasn't the culprit.
This does indeed appear to be decisive evidence that proves the defense's claims.
As for the remote switch that was found in Mr. Starbuck's pocket, we can assume it was planted by the killer on the unconscious Mr. Starbuck.
No, there must be some mistake.
I will say, on the note of the... Thank you, mods, for handling the hinting stuff. I will say, now that the mods have given you guys their warning, by the way, if you do continue to hint after the mods have already told you not to, I will say, mods, feel free to, you know, I hate to do it, but, like, time people out for a few minutes if you have to, because otherwise I just don't think we're gonna get past some repeat offenses here. But now you, like, you know, nothing for now, but now you know.
Frankly, Prosecutor Blackwell, I've been worried about you. You've been chasing this phantom for 7 whole years. I understand your urgency because tomorrow...
Silence!
Fulbright, you promised never to speak of that. Huh? Tomorrow? What about tomorrow?
Given the body of evidence, I think it's safe to say the defendant is innocent. In light of the fact that it was impossible for him to have committed the crime, a few unanswered questions remain, so I look forward to seeing what you two uncover. But for now, this court finds the defendant, Solomon Starbuck,
Not guilty. That was very sudden. I'm a little... I mean, not that I think he did it, obviously. Like, I obviously think he is not guilty. But that was so... just... Fulbright swoops in. And is just like, oh, and now we win the case. I'm very suspicious about this. I'm very suspicious about this. Canadian Joker with the $2. Are you ready for a major left-turn plot twist? Or Cardian Joker. Canadian. Don't do that! Don't do that! I literally just said not to do that! I appreciate your support, but I just said not to do that! Anyway.
Yes, we did it, Mr. Wright.
Looks like we pulled it off somehow, huh? With some help from Detective Fulbright. Mr. Wright, Miss Sykes, thank you. Please thank Apollo for me, too. You all are the best.
Oh, I wish we could tell Apollo about Mr. Starbuck's verdict right now.
Yeah, me too. But that's gonna have to wait.
Now that a verdict has been reached, I'd like to bring today's trial to a close. Court is adjourned.
Objection!
Mm-hmm.
It's too late to object, isn't it? It simply isn't possible. Something's wrong.
Prosecutor Blackwell, are you dissatisfied with the verdict?
Fulbright, what were the results of the fingerprint analysis for the lighter? Huh? The results? Well, I was in a hurry, you see, and then there was that catfight, and, well... I kinda got carried away when I heard the prints weren't Mr. Starbuck's, so...
You have yet to read it? Prosecutor Blackwell, can you read out who the prints belong to?
Upon thorough analysis, the fingerprints were found to belong to Athena Sykes.
What? What? Got about 15 with the $2. Dread.
So says the report.
What? What?
Huh? But me? Oh boy.
Order, I say! Order! Miss Sykes! Tell me you have an explanation for this. We just finished proving that this lighter could only belong to the killer. So finding your prints on it can only lead us to one grave conclusion.
I don't know how they got on there, but I know I'm not the culprit!
First Sonic 225 with the $2. We've been psyched and maybe even bamboozled.
This can't be happening. We built up our argument piece by piece. And I don't think any of our reasoning was faulty. So how could it have led to this?
What have I done? Please forgive me. I'm sorry.
Order! Order! Detective Fulbright, stop your crying!
What in the world is happening here? It's like the world's gone mad.
Indigo with the £5. I have fear. Uh-huh. Oh boy, oh boy.
Order! Order! I will have order!
Confusion spiraled into utter chaos. After all we'd fought for, the truth had turned cruelly on us to accuse Athena of the crimes. Somewhere, somehow, everything had gone terribly wrong. We had stumbled over the edge of reason and into the jaws of a twisted darkness.
Wait, what? That's the end of the episode? No! You can't be serious! That's the end of the... Oh my god, that's... Wow. Okay. Alright. Sure! You fucking... Oh, god damn it! Oh my god, no. That's fucking... Now I'm Starbuck. Now I'm sighing like Starbuck. God, fuck. Shit, Jesus. Fuck. Well... No, it's not a bad sigh. Don't worry. I'm processing. I'm processing. What the fuck? Oh my god. All right. Yeah, I hate that this stream. I hate that I got to this point already so soon into the stream. Then I kind of wish that maybe I had halved it up a little bit better. Runtime wise. Yeah, I really didn't think that it would be this short. No, I didn't think that this would be the last case. I just didn't think that this part would be so short. But I feel like my only issue with starting 5 right now is I feel like if I start 5 right now, then I'm not going to be able to get to like a good stopping point early in, like, with this much, you know what I mean? I feel like we'll have to leave off at like a really awkward place, and I don't necessarily want to do that either. You know what I mean? So investigation isn't very long. May just be best to start from the beginning next stream, TBH. Case 5 is good. Investigation for 5-5 is rather short. Fair enough. Yeah. Honestly, as much as I hate to call it a short one, especially since next Tuesday is not going to be an Ace Attorney stream, I think it probably is going to be better for us to just go ahead and stop now and then just start Case 5 fresh next time we do this. I know that obviously that is a little bit disappointing considering that this has been a pretty short stream, and I apologize for that, but I feel like it'll probably be better to go into it fresh with that. That way we also don't have to just like stop awkwardly in the middle of the investigation and then have to consult my memory again the next time we pick back up. So also this makes a pretty fucking crazy cliffhanger to go out on, so I mean, you know, can't argue with that, I suppose. Before I go though, obviously, let me go ahead and pull up our art for this stream, because I do want to get to that. Again, like I said, I apologize that it is pretty short. I had no idea that that was going to happen, but I mean, a lot fit into that last leg of the case, though, for sure. And that is food right on time. We'll get to this really, really quick then, because I don't think that there's that much to show. And then I will scoot off for food. So let's see real quick if there's anything else in the art channel on Discord. I don't think there is. I think it's just the one thing. Okay. And then let me just make sure real quick if there's anything on the Tumblr tag. Yes, there is. Okay, so let me open that up real quick. Okay, so we got our art pulled up, so let me just go ahead and get that up on screen real quick. Boo. There we go. All right. So first we have this lovely picture of Aura from Chiyoko at Chiyoko Arts on Blue Sky. I saw someone requested Aura as the next sketch, and so I say, ask and thou shalt receive. I love her. I love her quite a lot. I pray to see her once again in the next chapter, please. Very, very good. I really like the funny expression on the robot. I feel you. I feel you so deeply. Moving on to these from Tumblr as well. We have this. This is from Kate the Vampire on Tumblr. Oh no, my attorneys have been Ronpud. The curse. Really good sprites though. You really approximated the style very well. This is really cute. I like this a lot. Very good job. So yeah, great art as always. Great stream as always. I really enjoyed this, even if it did end up being pretty short. So, tell you what, in exchange for the fact that this stream was really short, what do you guys think? Do you think I should go ahead and tell you what the surprise Tuesday stream will be next week? Do you think that would be a nice consolation? If I told you what we're gonna do. Firesonic225 with the $10. I really hope that you enjoy Case 5 when you get around to playing it. I know for me, I'll be tuning in to see once you stream the final chapter of this game, as well as join all the lovely chatters. Thank you. I see some yeses and some nos. That's very interesting. Okay, hold on. Real quick, give me like 2 seconds. I thought you hate I'm talking about spoilers for the game. It's not really that big of a deal to say what I'm going to be streaming next week. Hold on. Pulling up my own stream. Hold on. Here's a poll. Just gonna let it run for a second. Okay, the general consensus seems to be yes. So, then I'll end it off with that then. So yeah, next week, the surprise stream is that me and my friend Luke are going to be streaming Street Fighter 6. Because he wanted me to try it out and he gifted me the game. So, yeah, we're gonna be trying that out for a while. And, hopefully that'll be a lot of fun. So, until we meet again, thank you all so much for watching, and, yeah. Let's fucking go. Who's my main? I don't play Street Fighter, so this is kind of a new experience for me. Thus why it is a bit outside of my box. But I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. So, anyway, yeah, I'll see you guys then. And now I must go get burger. Thank you for watching, everybody. Goodbye.